Okay, great. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. We really, really appreciate it. Um, my name is Karen Chang Meiselman. I am the second district president, and I am here to help you, new officers, trying to get your feet wet and just try to we're going to get you set up. If you ever have any questions, never hesitate to contact me or any of us on the board. If you have any questions, don't think that you won't have any help. You will have plenty of help. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the 6 to 6:15 presidents portion of the training, president, treasurer, secretary, membership, parliamentarian communications, and then at the end we're going to do open questions. So anyways, here we go. Let's see. Scroll up. Okay, so the for the president's to-do list, this is ideal. You should meet with your predecessor, but you should also, both boards should also merge at some point to come in over the summer. You guys like just have a meetup and everyone should meet, not just the president, but the whole boards, both boards should collaborate. You take notes, you give tips, just try to come together, get as much as information as you can. And then, it'll just make things so much easier for you. I'll attend to training, and that's what you're doing right now. You're taking your first step. So thank you for doing that. But again, we will have a in-person training on August 29th, which is a Saturday. We're not sure where it's going to be yet, but definitely I have all your information. Over the summer, I will send an email out and give you the exact details of when we're going to do it. But we are definitely going to do it on August 29th. So um, meet your new, or we already said that, meet your new board members, collaborate. Make sure you find your PTA bylaws. That's important to go over with your parliamentarian. If you don't have a parliamentarian, that's fine. You can just color, with the both all your board, go ahead and just look everything over. Um, Start looking for committee chairs because you're going to need a fundraising chair or a communications or maybe like just start getting that together. Definitely meet with your principal. Try to meet with them maybe before summer just to kind of get things going, just to, like you have some information ahead of time. And then definitely by the time school starts, definitely set up a meeting with the principal and just kind of figure out what you want to do with the PTA and the principal. You guys are going to collaborate a lot. So just go ahead and just get that conversation going, get familiar with all the stuff that's going on in the school, give ideas of what you think you want to do throughout the year. Just start talking for sure. And also become familiar with PTA financials. Get together with your treasurer and just start looking over the paperwork, just seeing, look at the budget and see what you have, because everything should have already been approved from your past board, and now you will have a fresh new budget to work with. So definitely look at that. And then schedule a planning meeting um, when you get back to school. Just like, get your board together to start planning your board meeting. So basically, you do need to do two meetings. So basically, here's the thing. Board meetings need to be every month, but as far as executive meetings, which is when you meet with the whole school, your members, it doesn't have to be every month. Some people do it every other month. Ideally, not every 2 months. I mean, it's either every month or every other month. And that usually works out pretty well, depending on your engagement. If you have more engagement with your school, probably every month. And if you have a lot of things going on, probably every month is an ideal time. But if it's not so much, then maybe you can just do it every other month, and that's fine too. Um, and then also encourage your board to follow a similar to-do list, just kind of like, start getting things in order.
Karen, can I
Um,
just add something?
yes.
I was just gonna say, usually most of the units will add into their bylaws when they're going to have their general association meeting. So if you don't have anything written in the bylaws as to the frequency of your board and your general meetings, then you can add that to your bylaws. So that way you have something that's, ongoing regularly. And I think the most important thing is when you're scheduling your meetings, you have to actually share the date and the agenda for those meetings in advance. So if you are scheduling your board and general meetings, they're usually separated by about 10, 11 days. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're going to do meetings, you know, it's generally good to spread them out so that you can speak as an executive board and then have a little time to like plan and strategize like the financials and everything else that you want to present to your general association meeting and have that time lapse so that you have enough time to get prepared to present what you need to your association meetings. And that also helps because then you have advance notice for your PTA members for the meeting, and that improves people actually attending the meeting when they have information ahead of time. Thanks.
And though you also your duties are to preside over the executive board and also the general association meetings. You approve all the communication materials that are distributed. You appoint the chairs and committee members. You're the official PTA contact. Again, you meet with the school administration on a regular basis. You attend district meetings. You are also the primary check signer. You sign the contracts and you also sign payment authorization forms. And one important thing is that check signers may not be related by blood, marriage, or reside in the same household. So make sure that that's true for your treasurer, that and also you're the president, who are mostly the two people who sign the checks. Let's see. And let's see. So we'll open it up for questions now. We have 5 minutes. Anyone could just unmute. Anyone?
You may also add your questions in the chat if you prefer.
Yes, exactly.
And don't be shy. Karen and I are both presidents. So we've been in your shoes, literally, with as unit president. So any question is very welcome. Like we've been through it all, so hopefully we can answer your questions. But um, no question is too big or too small. Just to feel free to be candid.
In terms of ideas for um like what someone wants like what the PTA wants to do with like the school, are there specific areas that like the PTA typically um manages, I guess? Or is it like or does it vary school by school or is there usually kind of like a general
Yeah, you mean
um
like a committee? Is that what
not like a
you're?
committee like oh like the PTA, typically like manages all the events at the school or something like that. Like is
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, talk to your principal. They may have the ideas that they want to put out, and then you can take it on as a PTA to put on an event or whatever, do a fundraiser. Also, one more important thing that a lot of people don't know this, but for fun, uh, every one fundraiser you hold, you need to hold three PTA related events, which means the PTA pays for that. So you just need to always keep that in mind. The 3-to-1 plan is that you need to, for every one fundraiser you do, three needs to be, again, put out by the PTA, whether it
Roseanne,
And
be.
were you asking about feedback from the community about what they'd like to see happen? with the PTSA or
Um,
PTA?
I think, yeah, I think it's a con yeah, I think like I think that is like one of my questions is just like, is there anything that the PTA cannot do or, like isn't allowed to do? And is there anything like that the PTA, I guess, or typically does like within a school? So, and then just to go back to like that first piece of information that Karen you had just mentioned, like for one fundraiser, we have to hold three events that are, does that mean like fully funded or partially
Yes,
funded?
free
Okay,
Exactly,
community
by the
events.
PTA. Yes.
got
Free
it.
community events that are funded or just free, like, like a
Yeah, it
play
could
date.
be like a coffee, in
Hmm.
the morning, coffee and muffins, like throw something in the morning for the parents. Um,
You could do a play date with
you could do a play,
families.
exactly. You could do a play date.
And then you could do like a hangout at like you could do something quick like a fun park like field day and just have it be a fun field day with activity with no fundraising involved. So basically, there's no dollars collected beyond the cost of the event. Let's say you have a picnic in the park with your incoming families,
Hmm.
and it costs about $300 or $400 for snacks. You wouldn't charge your families for that. You would just hold it through your PTA funds or your PTSA funds.
Yeah.
So I think a
Okay.
very good thing to first know about Rosanna is knowing what has your is this your first year as president?
No, I'm not a president. I'm just on the PTA board. I'm the secretary, but I'm just asking questions.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, no,
yeah, of
great.
course.
This is a good question.
Yeah,
So yeah, in general, what you're
perfect.
gonna do is you're gonna look at the calendar of like the past year, see what's done, and then meet as a board over the summer and talk about what events were successful and what people really enjoyed, what
Yeah.
they attended, and then see with your principal, is there something new that they or the staff want to see that's changed up, and then even at your first meeting, your fall meeting, you'll have an association meeting in August or September, and you'll basically check in with your PTA members who attend and say, "Hey guys, what did you like?" Like you could do a quick survey, you could do a fill-in survey that everyone does, you could mail out a survey or email out a survey, you can put it on social media, and you could say, "Hey guys, like we're thinking of some new things, and here are like three or four choices." I always think it's better to provide choices, multiple choices, as opposed to an open-ended. You could always put other in the list, but I think it's always good to be like, do you guys want to see more community park events? Do you want to see, more adult only, like, happy hour events? Do you want to see some engagement with other groups in our school? Like, should we have a joint ELAC meeting? Should we have, do we have like any sort of affinity groups at our school and we want to include them? And so there's so many ways that that could go. So if you wanted to initiate some feedback, a great way to start is look at what's been done in the past year and move on from there, and check in with your principals and staff, and also check in with the families when they come back to school.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move on now because it's 6:15. Gina, are you
Can I?
there?
Mm.
I was also going to say, if any presidents, if any of you guys have questions, please keep them in the chat. We're happy to answer in the chat while you guys are listening in.
Hmm. Hello, I'm here.
Oh, good. All right, I'm gonna go up
Hi.
to your section.
I like all
Oops,
the
I know
money.
it's a lot, but I managed to squeeze it all in.
Yeah. Well, um, thanks for making these slides, Karen. That was really nice. Hi, I'm Gina Morris. I'm the treasurer for Second District PTA. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks especially to any of the presidents who are joining this treasurer's portion, because I think it's really important for the presidents and the treasurers to be on the same page and just know how things work. Um, and then we can answer this question really quickly. Is there a number of teachers that need to be on PTA? Or do you want to save these questions for
No,
later?
there's zero. There's no teachers. You would have your principal is always someone great to have on the board. They should be on the board no matter what. In terms of teachers, you could ask someone to be a family staff liaison, or if you already have a family liaison, they could join in, and they're usually a staff member.
Yeah, it's always ideal for a teacher to come because you want their opinion as well. They definitely, teachers will have issues and they can bring it to the PTA. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same teacher. Teachers could trade off, they could trade off during the year. It doesn't have to be one specific teacher. It could be just multiple teachers that can trade off, and they probably have meetings, and one teacher could bring whatever issues they want, to the board. So anyway, go
Okay.
ahead, Gina.
Yeah, sorry, that was we'll just I guess save the rest of the other questions for later so we have enough
Yeah,
time for the treasurer's information. I know it looks like a lot of words on here, and I've broken them up into kind of the very first things you want to be looking at as you get started, even as you go into the summer, right? So you want to get your treasurer's binder, and I like a physical copy, but if you guys don't have one, that's okay. You want to have access to your wherever the documents are being held for all the finances, and make sure you get that. You want to get all your passwords for your bank accounts and all the online storage. You want to go to the bank, you got to get your signature on the bank account. So you have access to writing checks and to the bank account. Um, the secretary, so usually the president and the treasurer are signatories on the account. You can have somebody else with the restrictions that Karen talked about, where you're not related by blood and you don't live in the same household. But the secretary is not a signer on the bank accounts. Just keep that in mind because I've seen that come up sometimes. So definitely president and treasurer. And one thing Karen also mentioned, which I can't emphasize enough, is to read through your bylaws line by line. It's not fun, but it's very important. There's a lot of really important information in there. And your bylaws, I would encourage you to read it together in your first meeting with your board, so everybody knows what the rules of the game are for your PTA. And they're supposed to be reviewed every year anyway. Also, particular to treasurers, kind of towards the back are a bunch of important informations identifying numbers that you'll need throughout the year, like your EIN number, like your state ID number, things like that. So that's in the back of your bylaws. And then I think it's a good idea to go to this website and check your filing status. So your taxes, are they up to date? Your registration with the state, is that up to date? Raffle registration, if you wanted that, you can find all of that at this link. And just know if you're right or not. It's really you don't want to get blindsided and start getting these warning letters. And then this one's real fun. I don't know if you've seen her or signed the conflict of interest whistleblower form, but it's a form that basically just says that you will not experience a conflict of interest. For example, if you own a business and it sells popcorn, um, you you're not going to monopolize your business to sell popcorn at PTA events, that kind of thing. So that would be a conflict of interest. And all board members are required to complete this form and sign it, and the treasurer collects them and keeps them. Any questions there so far? These are just some things you can just knock out of the way in the beginning to get familiar with your role. Okay, if there are no questions there, and then you can always just raise your hand as we go. Um, Hold on. Can we scroll down a little bit to the upload to future fund? It looks like a lot of stuff. Oh, you went too far. Can we go back? Yeah. At the beginning of the year, the very beginning, you could start in July if you're ready. You're going to upload all of these things to Future Fund Connect. That's the, I'm sure Karen already mentioned it, our storage, online storage website. So you'll have a year-end financial review, and you'll upload it once you've voted on it. So your executive board has to vote on it to approve it and your general membership. So that probably won't be done until September. But that you have your annual financial report. If you don't have like a button on your thing that says annual financial report, you can also just submit a balance sheet and an income statement. You're going to upload the current year's budget, also voted in by the executive board and the membership. And then the last, what is it, five are all tax and raffle registration things. Um, so these are just all these tax things, you can file them right away. And if you make 50,000 or less, it's super easy. It's just a check box online and you fill it out online. It's just a checkbox. If you have a little more complicated, it's okay. You can still do it in July as soon as you can. The reason I encourage doing all of these tax things, which we want to avoid as much as possible, is because July and August, probably not as much going on as, say, the beginning of the school, September, October, we've got Halloween, November is Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of a sudden, it's January and we haven't done it yet. And then you're really starting to face some deadlines. So while you don't have much going on in terms of treasury stuff, you can just file these reports and send them out. And then all of those get uploaded to Future Fund Connect. And then I think any questions on those guys? So let's move on to basic duties. Easy. If we scroll down, as the treasurer, you're basically keeping track of all the money that comes in, all the money that goes out. Everyone should have some sort of accounting system, even if it's just an Excel spreadsheet, which isn't some people have really good Excel spreadsheets. And if you've got that, thumbs up for you. Um, excuse me, I find that the other ones, because I don't have a good Excel spreadsheet, the other accounting packages are much easier to work with. But whatever works for you, and learn how to use it, because you're going to be using it all year. Make the approved payments. So all payments have to be approved first before you can make the payment. You make all the deposits to the bank. And then every month, you're going to reconcile your accounts. I'm finding that in I think it depends. I think it's an age thing. I don't know. But if you don't know how to reconcile a bank account, um, please ask me. I'm happy to walk you through it. I know some people have never done it. They don't know how to do it. But it's important that you do it every month for your PTA account. So if you don't know, just please email me and I'm happy to go over it. Your reconciliations and your statements need to be reviewed and signed by a non-check signer every month. And this is an insurance requirement. So you need to find someone. It could be someone on your board. It could be a parent volunteer who's a member. Anybody who's a member can do it. And every month, I'm going to be looking for your membership dues. You mail them into the second district. Any ones that don't go through Totem, you need to fill out a form and mail us the check by the 15th of the following of each month. So each meeting, you're going to present a financial report and a treasurer's report. And you're also going to release funds from your budget. So you're going to get approval to release funds. You're going to ratify checks and you're going to ratify expenses paid, which means you're just going to vote to approve them. And the last thing, before we can take questions, is steps for making payments. This is very important because it's the thing with the treasury, the money, all of that. You have to be so transparent. People's hard-earned dollars are donating it and trusting it to PTSA and PTA to support their kids at school. And So it's really important that we follow the proper procedures to make it crystal clear. So you have a budget, it's been approved, but you cannot write a check just because budget's approved, right? So you need to go through the steps of releasing funds from the budget. You vote at the executive level, then you vote at the general membership. It's a process, right? So you say, we want to spend, $300 on this vendor for this event, and it gets approved at these two levels. And then the executive board, okay, there's sort of two ways. The common way is you you're going to spend a certain amount of money at an event that's coming up. So you release the funds, $500 for the carnival. It's general. You're releasing $500 from that line item. Then when the expense, you have the specific expense, the clown's going to be $300. Now you have a specific invoice. The executive board approves the invoice. They vote on it. Then you get your expense form signed and treasure the payment. And it's many steps. It doesn't really take very long, but it's important that these steps follow. After the check's written, then at the next meetings, the treasurer's going to present it and said, hey, I wrote this check for $300 to the clown, check number what, and you approve it, or you should approve it because it's gone through all the steps. Okay, and then of course, only make payments that have the proper documentation and the receipt. And that's basically it. In August, we are going to take a deeper dive into a lot of this. But if you have any questions so far of what we're seeing here, please let me know right now, because I have a couple minutes.
Hey, Gina,
Yes,
quick question. Can
yes.
the or vice president sign checks?
The vice president can sign checks.
Okay, so it's those
Yes,
three folks, right? The president,
yes.
treasurer, and
If
vice
you can
president.
get
Okay.
three check signers, yeah, if you can get three signers, that would be really good because you do need two signatures on your checks. And sometimes if one of them is not available, it's good to have somebody else.
One more question regarding taxes. Do you have any references for filing online? We have to file online, and it looks like we have to like buy a program to file online. Like the IRS doesn't let us file through their website. Um,
Um, let's talk offline about that. That doesn't sound necessary, but
Under this current administration, it might be a new requirement to use a private
interesting.
company to file your taxes. So
Mm.
I'm serious. I just looked at but yeah, let's talk
Yeah,
offline.
let's talk offline about that. And then if need be, I can reach out to our tax person at California PTA, and she would know too.
I
Okay.
have a question.
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Aurora. I am a secretary at one of the schools, and I would like to ask you who are the best people that can sign the checks? You say the vice president is unable to sign them. What about the president, the secretary, and the treasurer?
The president, the vice president, the treasurer, they can all sign checks. Um, and those are really the recommended ones to sign checks. The secretary should not sign checks.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you're the secretary, you should not be signing the checks.
What does the secretary should do?
That's coming up next in our next session.
Okay.
Hold tight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, let's go ahead. Astina, you're up.
Hi, that's interesting as it leads into what I was doing because according to CAPTA, as one of the three members of required members of the board, secretary is at times allowed to sign checks if they are the third required person available. Just so you know that. That Aurora? Who asked that question?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aurora, yeah, we'll look that
Yeah.
up.
If you have just a president, a treasurer, and a secretary, they're the third signatory. It's on there. But I'll forward that to you with these lovely links down here. You can go check this out once we get there. A secretary's job is pretty straightforward. You need to keep track of all of the documentation that goes through our meetings. That would be any a board meeting, any association meeting. And if for some bizarre reason you're included in a committee meeting, you should keep track of those too. Usually not necessary. But the first thing you need to do right now as the year closes is if you can grab the outgoing secretary and get some idea of what they've been doing, it's awesome because it will help you not have to start everything from scratch, and also figure out how it's been done in the past so that you can at least start with something that was done and then tailor it to something you would like to see or make a little better or improve upon, as it were. So in that way, you get to, also get access to the files, the procedures, just kind of take a look at them, see what has been done all through this past term, or last year, or even a couple of years, if you can get that far back, understand the scope of what's been done in the past, and that way you're prepared so that when the fall comes, you're not like, what do I do? Where is this? Where is that? Your basic job is to keep, you know, make the agenda with the president, figure out who's going to be speaking, kind of, make a little, I guess it's like a summarization of what the meeting's going to be about, and that's your agenda. And then use that as the basis for your minutes when the board or the association meeting gets underway, and figure out who's going to keep attendance. If you're busy writing notes, there should be someone who's doing attendance. You kind of work all of that out with your new president, and and any other board members who might be willing to have that role. Or maybe someone else is taking notes and you're keeping attendance and just sort of keeping notes in the background so that when you do your minutes later, you merge all of this information. Um, Bylaws. As Gina said, it's really important for even the secretary, and especially sometimes the secretary, to know what's in your bylaws so that you can help the president, and any other member who has questions kind of stay within the CAPTA, or even the National PTA, California PTA, National PTA guidelines. And words that end. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't understand something and something comes up. And so ask for help. You can ask for help at your level PTA, for people who've been there for a while. If they don't have the answers, come to us at Second District. There's my email. Email me, and I will get you answers to anything that I can, answer, or I would look it up and forward you to something that may, or someone who may have a better answer than I do. And otherwise, over the summer, find out as much as you can. The resources that are there to provide you PTA policies and best practices on the California PTA website. Troll around in there. It's deep, dark rabbit hole, but it's also kind of fun. If you know what you're looking for, you can ask questions. It'll pop up with a bunch of stuff you didn't even intend to ask for. And, you know, check out your job description. Very, very important. It has all the details you need to know about what you need to do. There's a toolkit. If it says you need forms or stuff like that, you can find forms in there. Leadership website tells you when there's meetings that, may be able to help you keep up with what current guidance is. The district website for us is sfpta.org, and we do 411 Wednesdays, that usually target some question that's been asked in community. So kind of go to any of those that, go to our site and attend any of those that may fit some need that you might have at any time, or just curiosity. Just pop in for one of them just because you want to know. And I think that's it for me. Any questions? Hello?
No questions. I
Hey.
just would like to say thank you.
Oh, sure, sure.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
It's Mary from Soda, if it matters. Um, who, like, we do the agenda, like, it just kind of rolls through every month, but, with no events and stuff. Should the secretary try to engage the whole board for agenda items or just the president? Because it seems
Oh,
like, yeah, I do most of the agenda.
well, the whole board should be invited to look at the agenda and see where they might put in information they might submit information that would be helpful to the next meeting. They shouldn't overburden the president if they don't have to with having everything pass through them. I mean, if the president can see what they're intending to bring to the meeting, that would be good. A lot of the few boards that I've been on, the we try to have a common document where we share the agenda, and so that for until the meeting, you can actually put things on the agenda and you can question and answer on this document, so that you're all on the same page by the time the meeting starts. If that is helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything that the VP should be reporting on specifically or any like, the president should give like the updates, of course, but is the VP like supposed to have a agenda presentation as well that I could let them know?
Well, as a former VP, I can answer that question, I think, because the VP tends to be like the president's right arm, right?
Mhm.
And so they may go to meetings that are not all attended by the president. So then in that case, they may do a presentation about what they've attended, so that again, the president doesn't have to reinterpret what the vice president has done. But most of the time, the president has got this in the bag, and unless they specifically asked you to present something, you're okay.
Yeah, I would agree with Austina, Mary. Like if you have a VP and you are, because many units don't have an exec VP, but if you do, it's a great way to divide and conquer, just like Austina said, right? You could be the right hand and you could be, if the president has 10 tasks a week, you could take 3 or 4 off of their hands and they could do 6. And then you would check in with the president. But in our executive board, for our second district board, we do have an update from all of our officers and we add some later. And so the process is, everyone gets the agenda ahead of time. Austina sends it to us usually a week ahead of time. Then we have time to update it. Then she'll send us another reminder the day before and say, guys, make sure to, here's a Zoom, here's the agenda, here's the last meeting's minutes. So you can read it and be up to date with it. And then at that point, it's a good reminder to get the information on there. You could also just leave a line item in the agenda and just say, vice president update coming, and you could jot down a couple of bullet points, but mostly sometimes it's updates, but a lot of it is related to, as I'm still learning, action items, right? So Austina will constantly, like, it's good to look at your minutes from the past meeting, then look at and see what action items you had and bring them back to this current agenda, things that were left over, unresolved, pushed to the next meeting. Lots of times that's financial information. Sometimes it's checking in with, bylaws or whatever your action item is. That's really what goes on the agenda, and there's a discussion. We were just chatting with a group that has 3-hour board meetings, and we were trying to figure out why. And so what happened is there's not a lot of action items on there. There's just constant discussion about a lot of ideas. But so I think that's really good guidance. Like, what's an action item that every
Mhm.
person is reporting back about, and then leave some have everyone on your board report their updates and, things that they're supposed to follow up with and really focus on as something that has to be done, something that's due, something, a report or financial review or whatever it is that's really actionable. And then save a discussion for later. That tends to work with our board as well. But I think it's good to plan your agenda in advance, send it out, and the president and secretary work together usually to do that. And then report back. And during the meeting, make sure you check in with every board member and then do a discussion at the end, check in on the minutes, update your minutes, and just keep that flow going every month because it becomes easier to do with that flow. And that definitely makes it a lot easier to get ready. And something Austina does really, really well is she sends us the minutes from that meeting within that night or the next morning. So it's fresh in our minds. And then we almost like start an agenda from just that follow up in our minutes for the next time too. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, I can think of a couple things that, the VP sits in on that I don't, that they could give updates for. We've had like just the, space holder, like VP updates, but then there's, nothing really comes out of it. So I think if I'm more specific about
Mhm.
what information we want, from people, then that'll be more productive for the situation. Because just a space holder doesn't seem to be motivating enough for people to speak on things that they might have done in the past month. That's just my experience over the past year.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, that's it. We are at the end of my 15 minutes.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Austina. Okay,
Sure.
so we're going to talk about membership, and I'm going to talk about it. So basically, for membership, you form a committee. You try to get a bunch of people to go come on your committee, and you start planning a campaign. Try to, get together over the summer. Do it over drinks or something, and just start planning what you want to do as far as like just it's usually like theme based. Like for example, there's like an ice cream social or something like joining Tea with Sweet. So your whole theme could run just revolve around ice cream. You could do like one of these charts where it's like, the little temperature thing, but you could put as your membership rises, you just would put in, your ice cream, the scoops. You could do scoops, on in a cone, just going up the chart, and just to put that poster in the lobby of your school, just to track to show people how we're doing on membership. And so also you should decide on a budget because you're probably going to like have maybe contests. Like for example, which class had got the most memberships. You could also offer like the ones who have the most will get an ice cream party or a popsicle party or something to that effect. Just figure out a theme, like it could be like space related or circus related. I mean, it's just like just anything is possible. Just whatever your mind can go to, come up with a theme that's really exciting that kids would really be engaged in and parents as well. So just definitely start thinking about that because you're going to use a little money to put into your membership to get to bring memberships in people in. So and then prepare and gather supplies for orientation. Definitely during your back to school events, maybe over the summer, do a picnic, have a table out there, and just have people start signing up, for membership because it's never too early to do so. Basically, after July 1st, that's where everything goes. You can start bringing because the cycle is from July 1st till it's 1 year. So July 1st till June 30th is the cycle of a membership. And also pitch membership campaigns to teachers, like the best thing is that teachers usually have like newsletters that they send out within the classroom. They can also promote within the newsletter, like, hey, like make sure you sign up for, membership. have them promote for you as well because they're the biggest, influences to parents. So for sure, tell them about your campaign. And then, of course, when school starts, blast the membership campaign to everyone and everywhere. Families, just put in your newsletter, social media, signage at the school, everywhere. And even like businesses around the school, have them put up posters at their businesses. If they let you, yeah. I mean, it's a great way to promote the business and also, promote your school and membership. And also, if you go to the national PTA, there will be templates and promotional materials. You don't have to create it from scratch. There are a lot of things that are already existing that you can just customize, put your school name in, like for example, the joining PTA would be sweet. You could put a QR code in there and people would just scan that and then they would be able to join to get a membership. So, let's see. And here is, let's see, membership to-do list. So just to give you a wondering, what is this money that you are putting into membership? So check your bylaws for your dues amount. The breakdown for PTA, national gets $3.25, state gets $2, the second district gets 50 cents, which is us, and the unit keeps 25 cents. But the thing is, that's if you only charge $6 for your membership. You can decide to raise your dues. Some schools do, I mean, I think the sweet spot is between 7 to 10. I wouldn't recommend, I know some schools charge 20, and I feel like that's a little too high. I feel like it should still be equitable, it should be affordable. As I said, a 7 to 10 is probably ideal. So if it is too low, you feel like you can make sure you change it in your bylaws that you're raising your membership because whatever your unit keeps, you get to keep that amount. So that's part of the whole membership cycle. And then as far as collecting membership, there are two options. Totem, which is the electronic way, which is the easiest way. Members can join easily with a link or a QR code. And Totem is the only membership platform that automatically remits the money from when you join. That goes to the district, state, and national. And it's also like it's a perk that you get a reminder to join next year. Now, there are some schools who still do it old school manual style. They collect cash or check. But the thing is, the treasurer must manually send in the dues, as Gina pointed out, to the district via check by mail. You would have to send it into 555 Franklin Street, downtown. You would have to write out a check. The treasurer would have to write out a check for all the dues, which would be 525 per member. And then as far as if you need paper envelopes for, to collect your membership, for cash and checks, I can provide that for you. And also membership cards. If you would like a paper membership card, I can provide that for you as well. You just need to let us know.
And on Totem, it's really great because they do give you an e-card. So I always like take my e-card from Totem, just do a screenshot, keep it with me, and just have it handy in my wallet or like somewhere else in my folders online. A lot of people don't, but it's kind of fun, and it also reminds you to go get access to your perks, right, Karen? The best part about being a member is perks for national deals, not just
Yeah.
we have CAPTA and national deals for our membership perks.
And usually some of them are like Dave and Buster's. You can get a discount on that, or there's all sorts of different. They always offer new things every year. So you go onto California PTA, and there will be a section where you look up member perks, and then you would just scroll down and you would see the items, and you can also print that out and put it up at your school so you know, so members know that they can get these perks. So definitely promote that within your school as well. Um, so that's pretty much it for the membership. Anyone have any
Hey,
questions?
hey, Karen, it's
Yeah.
Mary. Sorry.
Hi, Mary.
I really advocate for Totem. They also have email campaigns. So if you have problems like, reaching out to your community, or you don't feel like everyone's on your parent forum, or you can't
Right.
get to just your, okay, maybe you want to email just your members to get a nominating committee for your next election. You can
Mhm.
set up campaigns. It's not that expensive. It's like $15 for like 5 or 6 messages you can send out to all of your members. And I found that really helpful for advertising the auction,
Oh, yeah.
and the nominating committee for our new election. I said, because
Yeah.
I know, all those people will be members, so they can participate
Mhm.
on that committee. So that's just my feedback for the totem, is that it's good for marketing as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Mary. That's always good. Always good to have tips. Um, yeah. Anyone else? Mm. Ooh, we're ahead of schedule. Let me see. So do you want to, I mean, I have parliamentarian. It's only really quick, actually. The parliamentarian to-do list is locate your bylaws. Is most likely it's in some file somewhere. You have a physical paper somewhere in your school. Find your bylaws. If you cannot find them, let us know. We can forward them to you. And also just go ahead and just review your files, just look it over. Um, just get familiar with it if you're not. And also every 5 years, bylaws need to be updated. There's a school that hasn't been updated in 18 years. Something fell through the cracks, but we don't want that to happen. But, by law, the bylaws need to be updated every 5 years. So if you need to know whether, like, timeline wise, actually, in Future Fund Connect now, it does say if your bylaws do need to be updated. It will actually give you a notification on the homepage. So actually, you don't even need to ask me. You could just look on Future Fund Connect, which is, by the way, once the new officers are entered into the system, they will get an invite, and all you have to do is just click on the invite, and then you will be able to access Future Fund to update your bylaws. And again, it used to be painful to have to go through it, but now it's easy. It's so easy to do. You could get it done in less than 10 minutes, if even that. Everything is done via email. You would just click some buttons, fill in some areas where you need to fill in information. And then you just click the button, and then it will be sent to California PTA parliamentarian. She will review it, and depending on how complicated, it may only take a few days, maybe a few weeks, but it's really easy now. So please do so if you can. If you have not updated your art bylaws in 5 years. So um, yeah.
And Karen, this is we know that lots of units, ours included, don't have parliamentarians. This is you don't have to elect one, you can appoint one. So this is one of those positions that if you don't have someone yet to do this, if you find someone who wants to help, this is a very easy role to do in the background by email, like messages. So if you have someone who, is having a hard time coming to like all the meetings, parliamentarians are needed for two big events. Reading your bylaws for a nominating committee and reading the bylaws and procedures for elections, which are usually in the spring. And I'm probably forgetting one more. I wish Melissa was here to tell us. Did I forget something? 2D, is there one more thing that parliamentarians, aside from bylaws? too. If I think of it, I'll
Just, yeah, can't
Don't they
uh,
remember.
kind of like run the role of the meeting with Robert's rules? Like, if
No,
they
people
don't run a
start
right.
going
meeting.
off on tangents, but they want to actually have a vote, the parliamentarian could be like,
Oh.
I hear a situation where we need to vote, so we should motion, like that kind of
No, they
tactic.
don't. The call for the vote usually comes from the president, but the Roberts rules, like in the beginning of the year, it's great for the parliamentarian to jump on to remind people of the Robert rules. And then what's really great if you're having a meeting, whether it's in person, if it's hybrid or it's Zoom, keep a slide at the beginning that repeats the Robert rules. And it's about manners. It's about not being disruptive. It's about being respectful. So a lot of units will just have a quick summary about what the expectations are for the meeting, and they'll have a link to the Roberts rules. So the parliamentarian only has to do that usually once. If it's a particularly disruptive goof over and over again, I don't know what the parliamentarian does. It's more about managing groups and expectations, and coming to meetings with an open mind, and also just allowing for feedback, right? Like making sure that you're not just leaving the meeting, that you're taking a call and answer, that you are working with, both at your board and your executive meetings and also your general meetings, that you're really leaving time for conversations and open questions and concerns. And that's not something where the parliamentarian would really interfere in. And thank you, Liz, for adding the training about that video, because it's a really good, quick like video to update. We have more of those videos on our second district YouTube channel, which is really great. Any other questions about parliamentarian bylaws or anything else before we jump into communications?
I do have a question about bylaws. We're in the process of updating ours as well, and there's a line in there regarding expenditures for the month, and ours is like set at, I don't know, $750. When they talk about expenditures, are they talking about like the admin costs of running the PTA or all of the expenses that might be incurred in that month?
Hmm.
I don't even remember that line.
It's way towards the bottom, item 12. Um,
We're
I
probably
remember
gonna have
I
to need
just had
that.
my board meeting. That's why I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Well,
not.
let's can
Well,
we read it and get
we
back
could
to
get
you?
back to you.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
was just gonna submit it to your future fund, the Cal PTA, and see what they say. Because I was gonna increase it to the cost of what our expenses are for our auction. Like last year, we just finished our auction, or last month, and it was like $12,000 we wrote out in checks, and I don't want to be like, out of compliance with the bylaws. So I increased it, but then my board members were like, well, maybe they mean, like the cost for Zoom, not the cost for like expenses. So, but I don't mind pinging it to Future Fund and seeing what they say and waiting if that's,
You can
Yeah,
actually
we
go
can
to
find out.
CAPTA's, Mary, you can
yeah,
go to CAPTA's website and look up the FAQs. I was just looking it up myself about bylaws. You can actually ask that on the CAPTA website at capta.org. They have a
okay.
big bylaws thing, and in the leaders toolkit, when you have to sign in, they have more details about all that. I'm just looking at it right now, but I can't share it because you have to log into your own toolkit to get it.
Okay. No, that's a good reference. I'll start there. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Other
Okay.
questions about president, secretary, treasurer, bylaws, membership?
You can do your communications now.
All righty, guys.
Perfect.
I know we've been pushing at you very, very hard the last hour. So don't be afraid. Liz and I both do communications, and Sarah is our communication VP at Second District. You've been getting weekly emails from Sarah, and hopefully you're reading them. And if you haven't gotten them yet, then when you update your future fund info with all your new officer contacts, you will automatically be added to our second district officers group. And that is a big Google group that we maintain. We don't share it with everybody, everyone's on there. And then you have a chance to share your questions and chat with us within the PTSA officers groups. Like these are all people who are us and you and roles, whether you're doing president, VP, membership, parliamentarian, secretary, treasurer, financial officer, financial reviewer, and historian, or gala chair, fundraising, all that kind of stuff. It's good to add as many people as are actually really working on your PTA board to focus on making your PTA and PTSA a success within your school community. And that said, a big thing that ties in everything is communications. So, do you have a communications person in your unit, in your school community? Do you have a comms VP or a chair? Do you have a board officer who's already taken care of doing communication for your unit? Do you have someone who's working with your principal and your school staff to make sure you're connecting your communication together? So let's say you've got a principal's newsletter once a month. You've got a Google group with or a discussion forum amongst your families, and they have like student updates on Google Classroom. Is there someone who's really working to connect all that together? And also make sure that everyone's getting the information at least once. And yes, that also means that sometimes you're going to get the same information from multiple communication channels, but I always say more is more, and that's good. If people start tuning out and not reading anything, that is a tough part. But I think if your community is getting something from the principal and from you in the PTA board or your comms chair, or your students are getting information in Google Classroom, that's usually middle school and high schoolers. And then you have social media presence. Use all of your communication channels. Something that's really changed since the pandemic and being out of school is going towards electronic communication, right? Getting online, emails, e-newsletters, signing into accounts, and getting Google Drives and sharing files and folders. It has saved a lot of paper and a lot of cost. But for a lot of TK, pre-K, elementary schools, there are still those paper flyers and posters and information posted around school. So that's something really important for you to do. What communication channels do you have? What do you want to add? What's working really well? What's not working? What can you take away? Um, talk to your teachers, talk to your principal, and talk to your parents and guardians and see what's working. Because, you may be sending something out like once a month, but it's not enough. You might be sending out something 3 times a week, and that's too much. So find that flow that works for your community. And you'll know because you'll see responses from folks, you'll see people engaged in coming to your events and your meetings that you're communicating about. So right now we're in the middle of May craziness, right? Like Maycember, May madness, May mayhem, whatever you want to call it. So from tomorrow, May 21st to June 10th, which is the last official day of the school year, you have to decide how you want to do the year-end communications, right? Like, how are you going to reach some of these parents as everyone's just melting down and done? Maybe your fifth graders and eighth graders and high school seniors are all excited because there's lots of year-end activities and that kind of fun events going on as they get promoted to the next level and move on. So, maybe share some of that positive stuff. Share photos of your events. Share just like quick, short emails. Do information that's succinct and quick. Get on your social media and share fun photos and fun flyers. And most importantly, send a thank you message. Yes, we had Appreciation Week recently in May. Yes, we've had lots of appreciations throughout the year, but remember to thank everyone on your board. Go do something fun together. Go do a fun social. That's a great way for officers who are transitioning out of their roles to welcome in the new incoming board members. Go to the park and just hang out and do like a potluck. Make it easy for yourself, but do plan something to thank all of the people who've been on the board serving and also welcome the incoming folks. Try to do that before June 3rd or so, because I know those last 3 days, a lot of families are not planning to send their students to school from June 8th to 10th. Especially those high schoolers, they're out of there. They want to graduate and get out and have fun. So they may not even make it to June 3rd, but please think about sharing gratitude, maybe sharing a summary of what's been great this year and how thankful you are for the community and you're ready to move on to the next year. Set a good positive note. And then we have links to all these docs. So not only Karen's slide deck, but we have individual documents. So you'll see that I have a note here about reviewing your PTA year planning for 26, 27. That's a whole doc. And that's just got tasks lined out by month. So right now, it's exactly what everyone else said, right? Like you heard from Karen and Gina and Austina, you are winding down, but you're getting ready for some quieter months ahead. So this is a great time for current presidents, midterm, if you're doing 2 years, or incoming new folks to talk to the outgoing folks to get stuff planned. Let's, exchange information, exchange your drive, your path words, talk to each other, meet online, talk over the phone, meet in person. Do it in June and July when things are a little quieter. Yes, people are on vacation. We're also going to be on vacation too, but we all take turns to answer messages. So, if Karen's out of town, then one of us will answer something, and then one of us will be out of town and Karen will answer. Karen's kind of spoiled us because she's very, very, very responsive. So you're going to hear from all of us again in August for our in-person training where we want you to attend because there's nothing like actually having a face-to-face conversation, exchanging your ideas. What's worked well for you guys? Like, is there something that you've really liked, or a resource that you really love that we haven't shared before that you can share with other folks? Do you have some tips about gratitude and how things have really worked? Like it could be something new you did or something that's been going on for a decade or more. And without fail, please reach out to us at Second District. We are always here to answer your questions. We usually get back to everyone within 48 hours. If you're doubting something or you've had a PTA board meeting and you don't know how to present something to your association, email us and we'll set up a call or a Zoom chat, or meet you in person. Do you need help like figuring things out for like your first PTA or PTSA meeting? We'll join your meeting and help you out. Nobody knows everything. Like we're all learning together. And most importantly, we're all volunteering. So this is things that we're doing in our copious free time and that we are all working together on to really fine tune. So there's no like, there's some stuff that's like super solid. Like when it comes to financials, there's a little leeway in doing things, as Gina can probably tell you. But other tips and ideas like, in your presidential role or membership or as secretary or parliamentarian or outreach, um, tell us what's working. So does anyone have, while I say that, does anyone have some form of communication that's been really great this year or that's been very challenging? Don't be shy. Anything positive? Anything you had a hard time with that you might want our support with?
Valerie Carp here. Hi.
Hey, Valerie.
Hey, so our board has a group chat that is very, very useful. So we have a texting chat set up just for the board, and that has been super helpful.
You think it's helped beyond just reading emails? Is that one way to get in touch with each other quickly and have it be more personal?
Sorry, my family are being really loud, so let me just mute.
Okay.
Oh, no worries at all. Not a
No
problem.
worries.
We're all at dinner time right now. No
Yeah.
worries. So did you find that made the personal text chat or maybe WhatsApp group makes it more personal, makes it you guys are is your board more responsive on a chat thread?
Yes, absolutely. And we post pictures. It's nice to like comments, it's nice to give people feedback and appreciation. It's just uh yeah, and people are super responsive in general. So yeah, it's been good.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Who should initiate the board chat? Should it be the secretary, comms, or president? Like who should kind of engage that first? Because that sounds like a good idea, but should I do it or should somebody
Yes,
else on the
you should
board?
do it. You should
So
do it.
Karen did it for us for our second district. And yeah, I did it before as president too. So usually it's the president, but it doesn't have to be. Like you could, if someone else is really good at that, setting it up. Like Karen's very savvy, so she set it up with like a group name and a picture, and so we always know when we're looking at it. It's like you have a text group. A lot of people use WhatsApp because of the Android, iOS issues on just a general text thread or message thread. So that seems to be a very highly used platform. But that doesn't, I mean, again, if it's general, it's like Valerie's saying, if you're just texting each other, sending some photos, you're not sending each other like complicated documents or big things to read or files that are like 20 megabytes or huge, bigger. Um, I think it's great to use that. And yeah, you can initiate it and or you can ask someone. You definitely, as the president, the one thing you should do is delegate, delegate, delegate. So if you don't have time for that, ask someone on the board. I'm sure someone would be happy to help you.
Yeah, my book club does it for us, but I didn't do the photo and the name, but I do see it on my group chat. Um, and then how many people should be in the board group chat? Because we have our executive board, and then we have our committee chairs, and then we have like the kind of the higher level community chair, committee chairs that kind of run stuff. Should it be like just the executive board? So we have like seven who's on the executive board, right? And then is that also the principal?
We in second district, we're just exec officers and advisors. So there's 16 of us, 15 of us. So we include everybody. But you could definitely choose, like you as a president, you are managing and people are communicating with you directly. So you could choose to have a couple of different groups. I asked my principal if they'd like to be in a chat. I've never put any of my principals on a group chat because they have 1,000 things to do. And I don't want, if maybe they're really awesome and they love chats and they love WhatsApp groups. But generally, I check in. So ask your principal, and if they say no, just of course be super understanding about that. And so ask them first. I think that's a better way to go about it instead of adding them and then having them opt out. But so you might, if you have different levels of groups and people who don't always check in with each other, um, then you might want to have a couple of different text groups
Yeah, we
or
don't
chat
have the
groups.
principal on our board exec chat.
Anyone else? Any other concerns, questions? And thank you, Liz, again for adding the link tree in the chat.
Yes.
And Karen, do you want to add some of the links to our docs here, or should we send an email with a follow-up?
I was gonna send the everything, I mean,
Great.
whatever I sent earlier, all the links to our YouTube and then, everything from CAPTA and, we'll send the recording, we'll send this deck also as well, to everyone who signed up. So no problem. We want to give you as much information as possible, And again, this is just a taste. I mean, we're going to be much more in depth in August. So, in person, again, we're going to give you much more in-depth information. But, again, over the summer, just look over the toolkit, and just get familiar with things, just so you're not like overwhelmed. Like, just go in there and learn a little bit at a time, because it is a lot. I mean, not gonna lie, it's a lot of information, but just try to take it in little bits. And then by the time school starts, then you're gonna be totally prepared. And so anyway, and as I said, we're always here to help. So if you need anything, never hesitate to come to us. So
And I just wanted to hop back on about the sign-in thing because I just went and double checked it just to be sure. And yeah, normally secretaries do not sign checks. It's only in the situation where, like Gina was saying, if you don't have a backup, um, sometimes they do that, but normally secretary does not because you're supposed to have the treasurer and the president do it, right?
thanks,
Okay,
Austina.
Thank
Thanks
sure.
for
you.
double checking.
If I may add, this is Liz. The link tree has all the links like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. But the most important one is the YouTube channel, which has past trainings. So for presidents, parliamentarians, even a PTA triage, PTA 101. It is all on the YouTube channel for you to review and look through. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Liz.
Liz.
And Liz, also, one thing that she's amazing at, and Karen is too, is Canva and making really cool, fun, pretty flyers and graphics to get people's attention. So that's another big part of communication
Oh
too.
yeah, for Canva, as a nonprofit, you can get a free subscription,
Mhm,
and you can create these beautiful like slides. I mean,
mhm.
it puts Google slides to shame. I'm sorry. I just love Canva. So, yeah, so definitely sign up on Canva. Look under, just put in Canva nonprofit. You can get everything that's available on, usually they have a little, like a little crown on it that usually says it's pro that you need to pay for. But as a nonprofit, you get it for free. So definitely sign up for that. Sign up for your school. You just need your nonprofit number. And then you put it in and they review it and then they give you access. So that's one tip that I have for you tonight.
So for Canva, it's free for the general use, but if you would like the version that is the nonprofit or the pro,
The
I did
pro
apply.
is
Yeah,
no, you don't. Yeah, it's free if you're a non-profit.
you need to apply for it.
Yeah,
So I, I
exactly.
can I can help with whoever wants to apply for the nonprofit version. I did that for 2D, so you can
Yes.
just reach out to Second District at sfpta.org.
Yeah, and then Liz, it's great because Liz then created little mini sub accounts and documents that she shares with us and we can use. And we can also create or update stuff. That's the really coolest part is
They
that,
really make beautiful Facebook and Instagram posts for sure. So,
yeah, but just like today's slides, like if you want to just like, jazz things up a little bit, give it a
yeah.
little pep and a fun thing as opposed to like a list or like a basic um, you know, kind of background. It's fun and it's just great to play around with it. You have to have zero experience. All of us just kind of learned as we went around. There are plenty of YouTube tutorials, and I bet your students probably know how to use Canva, especially the fifth graders up till high schoolers. They get Canva for free from SFUSD. So they usually get free accounts. So I had my sixth grader, who's now in 11th grade, but back when she was 11 or 12, she was giving me tutorials and she's like,
Mm-mm.
duh, mom, go find it on YouTube. But
I
Liz
know
is a much,
they know way more than we do. That's
yeah.
for sure.
But if you want someone kind and patient to walk you through it, Liz is amazing. So
Yes.
I'm going to vouch for her because she helped me. Are there any other questions? We're open right now for some
Yeah.
time, right, Karen?
Still have 10 minutes.
Should we
Yeah.
unshare the slides or stop sharing
Oh, yeah,
slides?
yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Open up to any questions at all about anything
Yes.
that you heard today.
Anything.
Hey, I just want to promote the Cal PTA convention. As somebody who's been in the PTA, at my son's a junior in high school now, and I'd never gone. I really not been a huge part of the PTA, but that experience was really valuable to be around so many other parents and folks that are involved, and it's a real morale booster to go to the convention. So I would just advocate to put that in your budget for next year if you can afford it. I think, to send two people, it's about $1,000, maybe 1,200 with the fees and the hotel. Um, so if you guys can afford it, I would definitely advocate that for your PTA unit to send at least the president and one other executive member. The resources and workshops are really valuable. Or if you have a large sped department and you want to include a parent that represents that community, there's a lot of workshops for that as well to help the PTA engage more with your sped community. Um, that's my 2 cents on that. And then I have a question about national PTA. Is there
Yeah.
grants or anything to apply to get to the national PTA? Like,
We don't
is
provide
it
that,
funding?
right, Karen?
Yeah, we have to pay that on our own. Yeah.
Um, does national provide a grant opportunity or that you know of or no?
I think there was one at state or national, but I think the time's passed because it's coming up in like
It's
soon,
June
right?
18th to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
20th. So it's
Yeah, it's coming
already,
up at less than a
but it's
month, but
in Pittsburgh this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping next time it'll be closer and then we can apply for a grant to that too, because
Yeah,
I
I think.
assume it's just as informational and helpful as the state was.
Mm-hmm. But it involves the whole US. I mean, I can't wait to see Texas. You know, I want to know how big they are because California is big, but Texas is on another level. So I'm very interested to
Are you
see.
going to state
Yeah, I am
or
going. Yeah.
international?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
yes,
Um,
Karen's going to be representing for San Francisco.
Yeah, I've never
oh,
gone and I always wanted to. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go this year and check it out. So
great. Yeah.
I'll let you know how it
Yeah.
goes.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute. We're all casual here. We can, we still have some time. So,
Are there any needs of the second district PTA coming up that you'd like us to push through to our PTA for engagement for you guys? Do you need volunteers or anything like that?
Yes,
uh,
we have 3 open roles.
Vice
We need a
President.
We need parliamentarian. We need a reflections art chair. Maybe that could be great for something for Ruth Asawa, Mary, getting a I know we already have Kelly doing our arts education, other updates, but there's a national reflections art program, and we used to have a strong presence in second district, and it's just kind of quieted down over the last few years. So we want to get more students to submit their artwork, and we need a chair to help us do that. Which would be amazing. And then parliamentarian, we've been using a past parliamentarian, past president, who's now kind of helping us interim for bylaw help, usually just that help. But so if you want to be pushing the parliamentarian role, it's great because we have a mentor right now who would be happy to train the new parliamentarian and help them along with any assistance they'd need if they want to come the role. And then we also have, what am I forgetting? Sorry, I see
PP.
oh, our exec
PP.
VP.
Yeah.
Who wants to be Karen's right hand? That would be amazing. She is constantly working. I don't know when she sleeps because I go to bed sending her an email and I wake up to her emails. She is on it constantly. Karen just gives so much of her time, so it'd be really awesome for someone to be exec VP. And in our capacity for our exec VP, that's been someone who's really been taking on a lot of the communication with SFUSD, keeping on top of a lot of the other events and other community orgs and other things that are happening around the city to really get a finger on the pulse of what's happening in terms of changes, policies, really like how different neighborhoods are doing, how different units are doing. And that's been very helpful. So that's definitely a different side. We have a wonderful legislation VP, Lori, but she's really focused on a lot of policy and changes. And now even we're looking at a lot, you guys have heard this and seen this, a lot of California-wide push for the governor to make sure that we push those Prop 98 funds to come back to our schools and not be withheld. So Lori's really working on ledge stuff and really um, all level district, state, and individual legislation and policy changes and what's happening in terms of advocacy and what we need to help with. So you've seen emails from her. We usually have Monday emails, right, Karen, for
Mhm.
ledge and
Yep.
policy stuff?
Monday is Ledge
Yeah.
Monday, and then Tuesday is just our second district newsletter.
Yeah, so if everyone's like, uh, wanting to go onto the exec VP role and support Karen, I know she would love some more help. And we'd love help as a PTA board too, because we we really want to have enough people to support all of you and get your questions answered and work with you and be at your meetings, come to some of your events. Karen's been awesome with that as well. The rest, some of us are at school, some of us have students who have graduated out. So we've got all levels of PTA board officers and advisors at our level. So we'd really love some new, fresh folks in for the with new ideas and a great POV and just bring some more good energy onto our amazing board. So again, if you're Liz put in the chat, but if you know anyone who'd be open to parliamentarian, exec VP, or Reflections Art Program Chair, we'd love to hear from you. And you can email us again at the Second District SFPTA or email that we already sent in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know if the Cal PTA website has the reflections videos on there, but I think that was a really impactful part of the Cal PTA convention is seeing the reflections winners. And it inspires me as the PTA president to push that program out more into my community. And that
Mhm.
might help me get somebody that could help you guys with that reflections
Yeah,
as well.
that would be great. Because again, I
Um,
mean, I get so jealous, but LA puts out so many entries and so many people win there. And I'm like, what about us? We have just as good art, from kids, so yeah, I really want Reflections to take off here. I know how difficult it is but there's just so much good stuff. The kids are so creative. I want us to be there. I want us to win awards. So, anyway, that's my wish.
all right. Well, I'm competitive, Karen, so let's make it happen.
Oh, okay, cool. Great.
My just to fill the time, but is there any alumni association for the PTA? Or how do we, once our kids graduate, what happens to us, Karen?
You join us and you become
You
advisors.
join us.
Yeah, come
Okay, you
on
are the
now.
alumni association.
We are the
We're
alumni. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
that's it.
We you become an advisor with us and you help other units grow and flourish
Yeah,
and
because
answer
there's
questions.
so many advisors we have. We have at least five or yeah, yeah.
And I feel like Liz might be the strongest alumni association. Maybe Lincoln does as well. But is there any like advice or feedback for connecting the PTA to the alumni association? Our school really doesn't have an established like one that goes out to all the art departments, and we kind of are looking to build that. Do I have any restrictions around that, or is there any advice for that? Because that's kind of what we're looking towards